The next move for the Chicago Bulls is likely moving Zach LaVine. We know that there has been 15 trade proposals out there for Zach LaVine and none have come to fruition. In today's video, we are going to be talking about a wild hypothetical trade that links the Chicago Bulls, Atlanta Hawks, and the Los Angeles Lakers. And we're also going to be talking about the updated trade that the Sacramento Kings could possibly execute to get Zach LaVine. This is Rico Greenhowe, and this is another episode of Bulls Digest. And before we jump into it, want to let you know that 76.6% of you guys that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the latest news and happenings around your Chicago Bulls. And without further ado, guys, let's jump into the topic of the day here, which is LaVine is traded to the Lakers. Guys, I must say that this is a wild hypothetical trade, and this is written by an Atlanta Hawk reporter that writes for their Bleacher Nation there, and it is pretty interesting, guys, when we unpack this thing. But there is a lot of stuff that makes sense in this, and especially what I'm seeing out of this is the assets that the Chicago Bulls are going to get out of this, guys. And so let's go ahead and start off with what this article looks like. And first and foremost, it is a blockbuster three-team trade proposal that has Zach LaVine, DeJounte Murray, to the Lakers. The Hawks get assets to retool. And so what the proposed trades are is that the Hawks would receive Rui Hachimura. They would get Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent. The Lakers, the 2024 first round pick in this one, which is the number 17th overall pick, and the Lakers 2030 pick, first round pick there, unprotected. The Lakers would receive DeJounte Murray, Zach LaVine. The Bulls would receive D'Angelo Russell, AJ Griffin, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Cam Reddish, a 2025 first round pick from Atlanta via Sacramento, protected 1 through 12, and a 2025 second round pick via the Lakers. All right, guys, so a lot to unpack here. So let's go into this. So look, I mean, for the Chicago Bulls, they are getting assets as far as draft picks. All right, so we're going to get assets back in those regards, something that we failed to do in the OKC deal, which is phenomenal when you think about it, because OKC has so many draft picks, right? And we didn't get one. But they're suggesting that AK goes ahead and he rides the ship here, and he actually gets some draft assets back that we could use in the future to go ahead and retool this roster and further us in our rebuild here. So I do like that. The immediate pieces that we get back, I'm not certain of at all. Starting with a guy like Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is a young player that is 6'8", and he has some excellent wing potential, but he has not worked out in any stop, really. I mean, there were flashes that you saw with the Lakers. I think that, you saw some times where he was unlocked there, and then there were times where he just disappeared. So I'm not sure that that necessarily is going to fit in the Chicago Bulls timeline. They might be looking to move on from him sooner than later. With D'Angelo Russell, you have to do that to make the contracts, so to speak, match up. And he's also going to have to opt in. I think that would be the same with Cam Reddish. Now, the one thing that I will say about D'Angelo Russell is that he does not necessarily need to start for us, but that is a lot of money for a guy that would come off the bench. I'm mainly saying that because he has had to take the bench role with the Lakers before. And so, look, it also talks about this, and we're going to bring this up, that more than likely what is going to happen with D'Angelo Russell if the Chicago Bulls get him is they are going to go ahead and flip him and get another asset back or something to go along those lines. So I think that that's something that's more so in play when you pull this deal and you get D'Angelo Russell. I think that you would try to move him over to a place where he wants to go, a contender or something like that, and we're able to get some more assets back that we can use to further build our roster. I think that that's probably the direction that you're looking to go into if you make a deal for him. Lastly, with Schifino Hood, I think that he is an excellent player, right? But he's 6'6". I think they have him listed as a 2 guard, but when I think he was at the University of Indiana, he was more of like a point guard there. So I'm not sure that he's necessarily going to fit in the scheme of things with what the Chicago Bulls might be building long term. We've talked about what they have done with Josh Giddey and needing to get a lot more athletic at the wings and the center position. I'm not sure if Shafino Hood is going to fit into that. So, the pieces that we're getting back as far as player-wise, I'm not sure that they're going to be immediate pieces that the Chicago Bulls would use. I think it's more like flippable assets down the line, but we are getting some draft compensation out of this guy, so I do like that. So I'm just throwing that trade up one more time again. Just putting it in context, we would get, the protected 1 through 12 from Atlanta. We're also getting a 2025 second round pick via the Lakers, guys. So this is what I'm talking about with the draft compensation here. And so, for the Bulls, essentially, I've kind of already outlined this, but they're getting off the LaVine contract is number one. You're getting Russell and Reddish in this deal, for purposes that you're later going to flip Russell. I just talked about that. Reddish is still young. Both would have to opt in, but I'm not sure that Reddish is ever going to find, what you were looking for as a player. This kind of reminds me a little bit similar of what's going on with the Patrick Williams situation. He could be into that type of situation. With the Hawks and the Lakers, obviously it makes sense for the Lakers in a lot of different ways because the Lakers, one, would get younger with getting DeJounte Murray and Zach LaVine. And on top of that, guys, they would get a player back in Zach LaVine, who I believe is under the same agency there as Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And I think that makes a ton of sense. Look, Zach LaVine played basketball at UCLA here in college, and I think that he would love to come back. I also believe that whenever Rich Paul has his players that go out there and publicly say that they want to be traded, and LeBron James goes ahead and says that he wants to play with that player, somehow, some way, they do end up crossing paths, guys. And so I'd have to believe that this deal would make a lot of sense because of those factors. Look, Anthony Davis said he didn't want to be in New Orleans. He went ahead and he pouted and he got his way and got to the Lakers. This is not that type of situation with Zach LaVine necessarily pouting, but he has publicly said that, look, I think that this relationship with the Chicago Bulls has run its course, and I think that the Lakers and the Kings are clear destinations to where he would want to go to, guys. And so that brings us to the next part of the video. If the Chicago Bulls did not engage in this wild hypothetical trade to get some assets back, there is an update to the Kings deal, all right? And so we've heard about the Sacramento Kings, and we've heard this deal multiple times with Harrison Barnes, and then Herter is on the table, guys. But there's a bit of an update here that I actually kind of like this, and I think that, look, if we're not going to pull off a wild deal like this might make a lot of sense, guys. And so LaVine is traded to the Kings is the next piece in this video. And so to put this in full context, guys, like I said, we've talked about this deal. It's been out there hypothetically, and this is a deal that I think is for sure into those 15 proposals. But, it's this right here is reported out here by Yahoo Sports that, a lot of people are looking to still get Herter. There's a lot of interest out there. And he's also saying that the Kings at this juncture are possibly considering moving on from their number 13 pick, especially now that they have Malik Monk, who is going to be coming back on a 4-year deal. And then it talks about the fact that LaVine is a backup option to the Sixers, with a lot of free agency stuff kind of falling through for them. But the proposed deal would have the Bulls receiving Kevin Herter. They also get Harrison Barnes. They would get Sasha as well, and the number 13th overall pick. The 2025 and 2026 second round picks, guys. So let me run that back one more time. The 13th overall pick then you would have the 2026 second round pick here as well. So they're talking about this year's pick, and then they're talking about we're getting a second round pick. You're also going to get a good shooter in Sasha, and also too in Kevin Huerter, and then Harrison Barnes. You get the championship experience as well, guys. All right, and so what the Kings would receive is going to be Zach LaVine, and they would get our 11th pick in the draft. Now, theoretically, I mean, I'm not all that happy about giving up the 11th pick. I would love to somehow keep our pick in this draft, and then also to somehow get their 13th pick, but that is greedy. That's being an NBA 2K Chicago Bulls fan at that point. Like, I think we would have to give up a little bit more to retain our pick and then get their pick. I'm not sure that the Kings are that desperate. The one thing that I will say about this is the Kings have a lot of interest in Zach LaVine because they were the ones who put out an offer sheet for him before we actually went out and signed him. So I'm pretty sure the Kings do want Zach LaVine. It's just a question of what are we going to do, I think, with the draft compensation. I think this is another chance for AK to step up and get this team some assets, guys, to build off of. And this also, too, would keep us somewhat moving in the right direction as far as being competitive, because you look at the shooter that we would get back. I think Kevin Huerter is a guy that you can build around as far as like a culture-wise, and so is Harrison Barnes as well. Like, I'm not going to say that, you know, Harrison Barnes is in his Golden State heydays or anything like that, but I definitely think that he can come to a young team and certainly be serviceable. I'm thinking about, you know, the situation that's going on in Portland with Malcolm Brogdon, and where he's out there in Portland helping that young team build up. So, you look, that's where we're looking at with this potential trade with the Sacramento Kings, guys. And so, you know, I think that the Kings deal is a bit more realistic. I think that the Lakers deal is a lot more of a reach. We would need a trade partner involved in that situation. And I just think that, you know, I like the compensation we get back from the Lakers, but I just feel like it's a bit more realistic with the Kings deal. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, guys. I'm in favor of the Kings deal. Do you think that somehow, some way we pull off this wild deal with the Los Angeles Lakers and get that draft compensation over there? And then also, too, guys, another thing that I will throw out before we get out of here is that if we keep another pick in this draft, guys, that does give us the potential to go out there and get the center that we wanted in like a guy like Khalil Ware. It also would give us the chance to go out there and get a guy like Tyler Smith too. So that's why I'm in favor of keeping 2 picks in this draft, just throwing it out there. But either way, what do you guys think? Is it going to be the Lakers? Is it going to be the Kings? Even though we don't know what we are going to do, the draft is coming up next week, and we seriously need to move LaVine here before we run into some serious salary cap issues. I'm still saying go Bulls, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, peace, peace.